Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. My name is Salatu Sule, and I will be talking about Islam and authentic happiness. Islam and authentic happiness. So we are going to spend the next hour and a half talking about being happy. In order to talk about being happy successfully, I suggest we start out by trying to look very happy. Let's do a little bit of charity. Look to the person on your right and give the person a big smile. If there's nobody on your right, then smile to the person on your left. Give them the biggest smile you have, the toothiest. That's my biggest. Okay. So let's talk about happiness. Now we look happy, we can actually start talking about happiness. You're not qualified to talk about happiness if you don't look happy. All right. An overview of what we'll be talking about. We'll look at our definition of happiness. Not the definition from the dictionary, not the definition from psychologists and behavioral scientists. No, our definition. Our everyday definition, what happiness means to each one of us, individual definition of happiness. Then we'll also talk about some keywords that will help us put some things in the right places. Words like pleasure, happiness, everyday happiness, enduring happiness, and investing in happiness. We'll also look at the psychological makeup of happiness. If you picture happiness as a woman, we'll talk about the makeup. What goes to make happiness what it is, what it looks like. Even if you think of happiness as a man, I know right now, if you were to take a mirror up to your face, what you see is not what you looked like when you got out of bed this morning. Something has happened. Many things have happened, not just something. Some things, many things have happened to make you look the way you look right now. True? I have a friend who would sometimes say, when she wants to go put some things on her face, she would say, let me go find my face. I left it somewhere. So we'll look at the psychological makeup of happiness. We'll look at critical ingredients for happiness. And then we'll come back to this definition of happiness. We'll try and redefine happiness based on our discussion. I keep using we and our. I am not using it in the sense of what you find in English and French, plural of respect. I'm using it quite literally. When I say we, I mean we. Our. I'm not trying to be modest. I'm actually saying you and me will talk about something. Sometimes I'll do a lot of the talking because I've spent about a week or two thinking about this topic. But a lot of the time you'll have to share as well, because the best way to learn is to share. I hope to talk about what I've been thinking about and then to also hear you share with the rest of us what you are also thinking about, inshallah. So you'll do part of the job for me. The only difference is I'll be holding the mic most of the time. I will control who speaks, who should be listened to, and so on. But it's still going to be some shared effort, inshallah. So I'll start with opening dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That's the dua. I remember once we were having a meeting, and the director of education, I work in a school, and she said, let's have the opening dua. And one of my colleagues who loves things being said very quickly said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amin. And the director promptly said, that's not sufficient. All right. Happiness is, this is where you start defining. Happiness is, I'll go first. When I put this up, I thought if someone were to ask me what is happiness and said, don't get very philosophical, don't get very spiritual, don't get very psychological, what is happiness? What are the things that would happen to you and you'd say, I'm happy? And I thought, one thing, happiness is a bowl of good quality, creamy ice cream after 2 or 3 weeks of not having any. That's happiness. I would be happy. Happiness is when my little boy pats me on the head and says something nice to me. That's happiness. I would be happy. Happiness is getting a good, well-written book to read that ends well and also has some lesson that I can learn from it. So happiness is a bowl of good quality creamy ice cream, a pat on the head from my little boy, and a well-written, meaningful book. That's happiness. Okay, I'm done. It's your turn. Happiness is, any happy person should just, happiness is?
Chat time.
Chai? Chai time? It's a beverage. Oh, sorry, chai time. Okay. Yes. Happiness is?
Starbucks.
What?
Starbucks.
Okay, let's do it this way. Everybody is saying something, but many people can't hear what many people are saying because many people are talking at the same time as many people are trying to listen. So we'll use the microphone to restrict who's speaking and to decide who's listening. Happiness is? Any volunteers? Thank you. Happiness is when the microphone cord will cooperate.
Happiness is when I get a mic in my hand. Happiness is seeing my parents, seeing my children.
All right, seeing her parents, seeing her children, that's happiness. Happiness is? If nobody else volunteers, I'll just sit here and I'll just stare at you.
Happiness is when my son gains 1 kilogram and I've been trying to make him gain weight the whole week.
Hey, happiness is when your son goes 1 kilogram up. Happiness is? Whatever it is you're munching is making you happy. Yes.
Happiness is eating non-stop.
Good. Happiness is?
Have enough sleep at night.
Happiness is when Manchester always wins.
Happiness is when Manchester wins. Okay. Happiness is sleeping well at night. Somebody said from over here. Happiness is?
When I hear my baby sister laugh.
When you hear your baby sister laugh. Happiness is?
When you can reduce your weight.
When you can reduce your weight. So somebody is happy when somebody goes 1 kilogram up. Somebody else is happy when she goes 1 kilogram down. Okay, yes.
Happiness is seeing your loved one happy.
Oh.
Happiness is seeing your loved one happy. Excellent. Now, even though some people didn't say anything, I know they were thinking things. And everybody has his or her definition of what happiness is when you narrow it down. When you say just speak from the heart, what actually gives you that lift? Now we are going to do a time test. We are going to test your definition of happiness. Time test, meaning when you say this is happiness for me, picture yourself 6 months or a year from the time that event happened. That 1 kilogram up or down, the something not, the chai time, the laughter of your baby sister, the face of your loved ones, the happy face of your loved ones, and ask yourself, after a year, just recalling that experience, that moment, will it still give me the same lift? Will it? Yes. Not eating the something nuts again. Remembering when you were eating the something nuts, will it give you the same lift? Yeah? In a year? In a year, you're standing in the rain, you are wet, you are drenched, your car just broke down. Will you be happy just thinking about chai time or or happy nuts or ice cream? Standing in the rain, dripping, you are cold, you are shivering. Will the thought of a bowl of ice cream make you happy? No. No. But there are some of those things that will still make you happy. It will light the glow of happiness again, like the thought of a loved one. If I get home and I hear my baby sister laugh, that would be good. It would still survive. The emotion would come right back. I'm asking this question because in thinking about happiness, many things make us happy. Some are little things, some are big things. We call the big things the things that will endure the time test. We call them the big things. The things that will not survive the time test, we call them the little things. We are not trying to belittle these things. They all have their own way of making us happy. But some give us happiness that is an everyday kind of happiness. Each time it happens, it will probably keep you happy. But some give us happiness that's deeper, that comes from a deeper place within us. That is the one that gives us what we call enduring happiness. The happiness endures. You don't have to go through the same experience to get that same boost of happiness, but just recalling it takes you away from wherever you are, takes you to a happier level, a happier point, a happier place. Are we all together? Yes. So some are big things, some are little things. Now there's no hard and fast rule about what falls into the big thing category or the small thing category, because each individual is different. Our experiences are different. Our places in life, our circumstances are different. So what to one person is a little thing, to somebody else is a big thing. And we'll talk about that. We'll explore that idea more. Therefore, when we are talking about, we use the word happy in a very, very broad sense. But that emotion called happiness is actually sometimes made up of little, smaller emotions, components of many other emotions, like pleasure, satisfaction, joy. Pleasure we usually would use when we want to describe sensory pleasures, things to do with touch, with taste, with sight. A beautiful garden gives pleasure. May not make you happy forever, but it gives pleasure to look at it. You complete a task that's been bothering you for a long time, an assignment, or you are given a target to meet at the office. You meet that target, gives you satisfaction. By itself, it may not make you happy. If all you had to do every day of your life was eat ice cream for breakfast, ice cream for lunch, ice cream for supper, very soon, the satisfaction will start to dwindle. You will go from satisfaction to boredom. So you might get pleasure out of ice cream, but it may not necessarily make you happy. Even when it comes to the big things, this rule still applies. You might love the sound of your baby sister's laughter, but there are times that sound would irritate you. Like, no, I don't want you laughing right now. This is not the time. I remember once having a phone conversation with a friend, and from time to time she would break off. No, you can't play in my room. Sorry, Sharifa, I'm on the phone. Would carry on after a while. Sharifa, no, leave the room. Oh, God. And then a short while later, I had a conversation with another friend who had little kids, and it was the same thing. So yes, these things are a delight. They give pleasure. They give happiness. But as I said, in varying quantities at certain times, a little bit of something is just right. A little too much, and you stop feeling that happiness. What we want to talk about, what we are trying to accomplish today, is understanding this kind of happinesses, knowing what gives us what kind of happiness, and to what extent do these things make us happy, and trying to actually get to what we would call the source of happiness, the root source. Distinguishing the root source of happiness from the means to happiness. The road, distinguishing the roads, the journey from the destination. And knowing how much to invest in what. In what kinds of things should we make major emotional investments? And in what kinds of things should we make just minor emotional investments? At what time should we invest heavily in this? And when I say invest, I mean emotional investment. That is pinning your hopes of happiness or satisfaction in a thing. That's what I mean by investment. And going beyond everyday happiness, but also understanding the value of everyday happiness. The value of a good toothbrush that does the job well when you brush your teeth. The value of a nice, comfortable mattress. The value of a smile from a loved one when you wake up in the morning. The value of a cup of coffee. The value of a plate of nasi lama. The value of a nice, good, strong car that doesn't cough every time you try to make a turn. We'll look at the value of everyday happiness and its place in our lives. Okay, I was pressing the wrong button. Sometimes people will talk about pursuing happiness as though it's pursuing a dream, something that's not real. Sometimes people belittle this pursuit for happiness, the hunt for happiness. Islamically, you cannot belittle these things because of what we know from the Quran, from the Sunnah, that living life as fully as we can is part of being a Muslim. And living life in a depressed, frantic way is not healthy for anybody. But we said we need to distinguish everyday happiness from enduring happiness, be conscious of the distinction, and invest in something only to the extent that it can make us happy and keep us happy. So your investment in things that give happiness, that give pleasure, should be in direct proportion to its power to make you happy and keep you happy. Now, can you think of anybody, be it an international well-known figure, a national figure, or someone you know close to you, who seemed to have had it all, yet seemed definitely unhappy, either because they committed suicide, or they had substance abuse issues, or from their facial expressions, you just knew this person is miserable? Can you think of people like that? Yes, you can. If you go into the world of fame, you find many more examples. Not to make mockery of anybody or to judge anybody, but we have examples in people like Michael Jackson, one of the most successful musicians ever to have ever lived. I can think many generations enjoyed his songs. I know I did. At the age of 6, I would try to twist and throw my leg up like Michael Jackson while my sister would be singing, beat it, and there I would be dancing away. I still remember when his Bad video came out. And before anyone accuses me of talking un-Islamically, you're talking about a musician, I'm trying to make a point here. Bad video came out. I still remember my entire family sitting in the sitting room watching this thing and thinking, wow, what a concept. What a concept. What moves, singing voice. Do we all agree, based on what we know about his life, he had many, many unhappy moments? That on a weighted average, he seemed more unhappy than happy altogether. Whitney Houston, another example. Like Michael Jackson, she had success as a musician, she had fame, she had money. But at the very end, what did her in? Substance abuse. Something people run to thinking, this will make me happy, it will keep me happy. Allah knows best how he judges people, so we are not judging. We are just looking around, as Allah says, look at those who have gone before you. Reflect on how their lives were. Let that be a reminder for us. When you think of people like this, because that's the pinnacle of it, the world knows you. People in villages know Michael Jackson. People in villages will sing songs by Whitney Houston. They probably can't even speak English, but they know her songs, they sing like her. I still remember one man saying, I have a confession to make. When I was a little boy, I had a crush on her, on Whitney Houston. And you think that's the height of it. Money, wealth, fame, success, family. Her mother loved her. She was close to her mother. So it's not as though she didn't have people to love her. But there were issues. And so we ask ourselves, if they had it all, what was the problem then? If we leave them and we start talking about ourselves, we know, as someone once said, many of us live lives of quiet desperation. We are not shouting out that we have issues or we are unhappy, but we sometimes feel such unhappiness, we ask ourselves, what's wrong? I shouldn't be unhappy. I'm a Muslim. right? I'm a Muslim, therefore I shouldn't be unhappy. It's not that simple. The equation is not that simple. Psychology of happiness. This is where we start trying to understand what's going on in our minds, in ourselves. The question of what makes people happy, why do some people stay happy, why don't some people stay happy, is a question that many people have tried to answer. Psychologists have tried and are still trying. Behavioral scientists have tried, they are still trying. Books have been written. Courses are ongoing in universities, all on the question of happiness. They may use different phrases. Positive, something positive, I think. Positive psychology, positivism, and so on. But they are just simply saying we are studying happiness. We want to understand happiness because this is something everybody pursues. Now, from their studies, a collection of studies, results put together, distilled down, this is what they found out. What makes an individual happy? If you take your happiness, put it on a percentage scale, 100%, 50% of your happiness from one individual to the other is tied to your genes. It's genetic. It's been genetically set. You can't alter that. Some people are naturally inclined to happiness, to being happy almost constantly. I mean, there's some people that drive you crazy because of how happy they always are. There's a problem, and everybody's thinking, how do we solve this? How do we solve this? And the person just starts laughing. You say, what's wrong with you? Say, no, I just thought of something funny. Funny? Now, funny? And you know little kids, some kids, you see it shows right from the little age. That's how you believe this is genetic. Some babies are just happy babies. You want to bathe them, they are happy. You want to change them, they are happy. They are happy, happy, happy. Some other babies, not so happy. So on the scale of moody to merry, everybody has a genetic set point. You've got yours. You each have yours. That's why somebody would say, I'm serious by nature. What this person is saying is, my genetic set point is on this other side of merry. It's closer to this side than to that side. Some other people, perpetually happy. They are bubbly, they are merry, they've got a smile. Every time they are ready to share it. I remember seeing one man at the airport on my way here. Long journey, took about 24 hours. After we'd been traveling for, I think that's 6 hours, we had a 4-hour stopover, 10 hours of flight. Then they told us, when it was almost time to board the plane, sorry, the flight is delayed. You'll have to wait another 6 hours before you can fly. By this time, I have a headache. I had to rush and go and get an ice cream fix to fix my headache. Sugar works wonders. I had a headache. I was feeling short of breath, standing in the line and trying not to look irritated. I was making this serious effort not to look irritated with the person who was at the desk attending to us, giving us our vouchers to go stay at some hotel. And from time to time, he would break off to have a conversation with somebody. And I'm thinking, people are standing in front of you. Why are you talking to people? And then my conscience is telling me, slow down. You don't even know what he's saying. He's not speaking English. He's probably talking about something serious. Calm down. And I'm making this, I'm there doing jihad bin nafs. And there's this other man, and he has this slight smile on his face the whole time. And from time to time, he would chat with his friend. He's so relaxed, so casual. Tell me about genetic set point, huh? Now, there's the happiness default mode. Some people, when you think of default mode, for some people, theirs is set at happy, merry. For others, not so merry. For others, moody. Factory setting. Your laptop comes with a factory setting, your electronics factory setting. For some people, their factory setting is on cheerful, happy, merry, no worries, no problem. They have a song going on in their head, no worries, be happy, no worries, be happy. Whereas somebody else is like, what do they call that fairy tale, Chicken Little? The one who said the sky is falling. Some people, their happiness set point is set to the sky is falling, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Now you have 10% is determined by demographic factors, things that happen sort of outside your control. Are you male or female? That affects your happiness to an extent. 10%. Where do you live? What's your personal history? What's your social status? Then you have 40% that's determined by your choices, deliberate actions, deliberate attitudes. Your choice is 40%. 50% genetically set. 10% your circumstances. 40% your choice. We look at that and we think 50, 40, 10. Studies are saying 40% you can do something about it. But is that all? Can we do anything about the 50%, your genetic set point? Can we do anything about 10%, your circumstances? Okay, one brother says 40% full stop. Do we think we can push the boundaries a little bit? Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about it. When we get to the end, we'll look at our 40, 50, 10 again and say, all right, how far can we flex our muscles? Can we do something about the factory setting? If your computer comes with some factory settings, you can do some things about them, right? If your computer comes with, let's say, a 6-hour battery life power, can you do anything about that? You can upgrade? Okay, we are talking technical terms here. Upgrading, is it possible? Yeah? I didn't know that. I thought it's only some other electronic equipment you could go buy a second battery and attach. Seriously, you can upgrade?
Yes, you can upgrade.
Oh, great. Good to know. Yeah, so happiness set point, you can change the default mode, you can upgrade, you can customize. And we are hoping that by the time we are done with this, we can talk about practical ways of recharging our happiness batteries, even when it starts to go zzz to recharge. You've already answered one of the questions. You say you can upgrade it. So we are going to look at practical ways of upgrading our happiness set mode. Because the good news is, the psychologists say, even if you have a genetic set point, you can upgrade it. You can boost it by what you do with the 40%, with your choices, with your actions. Now we'll look at some of the things that people generally try to pin their happiness to. Wealth, a raise in salary or increased income. That's why some people change jobs. That's why some people move from one country to another. A whole country, they leave it, go to somewhere else. Why? Pay is better. It will set me up really nicely for life. Some go after a promotion or a degree. I want something better. I want something more. That is going to make me happy. Some people pin it all on love. They say love makes the world go round and I want my world to keep spinning. So some pin it all on love. When somebody says, my baby sister's laughter, the smile of a loved one, we are talking about love. Family, children, some people put it all in the family basket. If my family is fine, I'm fine. If my kids are doing well, I'm great. If they are not, the world is over for me. So we'll look at some of these things. Again, a reminder, they have benefits. Being very well known, being famous, being popular has benefits, definite benefits. And I'll go way, way back into history and talk about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of his selling points, we talk about, what was that phrase we use? That we're publicizing dawah, we're advertising Islam. One of his selling points was the fact that he was well known for his trustworthiness. And he said it once when he was telling them about Islam, saying, I'm a prophet, Allah sent me. One question he asked was, if I tell you now, behind this hill, there's a whole army waiting to attack you, would you believe me? They said yes. Then he said he's been sent by Allah to give a warning, to remind, to learn, to teach. That was his selling point. Hamza, his uncle, when he accepted Islam, it was his popularity that was also a selling point. Everybody knew Hamza, and they knew you don't mess with him. He was known for it. So while all the Muslims were still trying to huddle and huddle, Hamza wasn't huddling anywhere. So popularity has its benefits. There are some shops you would walk into to buy something, and when you get to the counter to pay, you will discover that your purse is not with you. For some reason, by chance, by mistake, you forgot your wallet at home. And the person at the counter would give you a look, like, yeah, right. Why would they do that? They don't know you. But if they know you, they would think, oh, it's okay. Just put the things here by the side. When you get your purse, then you come pay. The reaction would be different. So being popular has its benefits. But as the first speaker said, we also know it has its drawbacks. You start living life in a glass house. You start living life in a bubble. You sometimes would find that because you are so well known, you cannot do exactly what you want, how you want it, when you want to, even if it's right. Because you'll find that you keep thinking, what would somebody say? Everybody's looking at me. All eyes are on me. Material wealth has its benefits, and we'll talk more about them later on. But we know the benefits. No money, no nasilama. No money, no good shoes. No money, no fine haircut. Whether you have to go to a barbing salon or whether you buy the barbing apparatus yourself. No money, in many cases, no advanced education. No money, poor transportation. No money, no good shoes. No good shoes, no sense of pride. There are some places you know you will not go into if you don't have a nice pair of shoes and a good set of clothes on your back. You know that. You would hesitate to walk in there. As someone said, you start feeling like part of the garbage. So money, material wealth, is great, gives great self-esteem, gives a good sense of independence, makes you feel like I can provide. For some people, no wealth means no marriage. It can't happen. I can't care for somebody else. So money is good. What did I just do? Okay. The question is, when we pursue these things, how long do they last? How happy do they make us? And how long does that happiness last? There's no debate. Money is good. Popularity is good. The debate is how happy will they make us and how long will it last? So once again, researchers wanted to find out. So they started looking at some people. They interviewed people before these people got a raise, interviewed them after they got a raise. Asked them a set of specific questions targeted at assessing how happy is this person. Looking at all those elements of happiness, satisfaction, sense of independence, and so on. They also looked at people who had just won a lottery, a jackpot, and asked the same questions too. They looked at somebody called Jack Whittaker. There are many people. If you Google it, you'll find many people they've looked at. But this is one famous man. His name kept popping up. He won in the jackpot $315 million. I can't imagine how much that is. It's the kind of amount, if I hear it, I would say, you can spend all that in a lifetime, no matter what you do. There will be plenty left over for your successors. But between 2002 and 2007, this man succeeded in making himself almost bankrupt. Don't ask me how, I can't imagine. Maybe I should double check the figure. Maybe I got it wrong. But he did. It was astonishing. They said he did. It took him 5 years to go through that money. He set up some foundation, some trust, but that crashed, didn't work out. One day he went to a strip club, he left $45,000 in his suitcase in his car, that got stolen. After 5 years, when they interviewed him, he said he had regrets. Not about what he did with the money, but about even having won that money at all. He sometimes said he would ask himself, wouldn't it have been better if I hadn't won this money? I bet he didn't think that way the day he realized he had won the money. They looked at another woman, Sandra Hayes. She won 10 million naira in a jackpot. Some years later, they interviewed her. She still seemed to be doing well. She still seemed happy. And the question is, what was different? Jack won so much more than she did. What was the problem? Another man won a lot of money. Some years down the road, his wife had left him. He was being sued for some tax issues. another sad story. Many more sad stories, it seems, than happy ones. They said even when they interview people who earn a raise, within 6 months, these people are right back to their happiness set point. That raise doesn't keep them high for that long. After a while, it dwindles. Ask yourself, when was the last time you either got a raise or you came into some money as a gift or profit for some business you did? When was the last time? If it was about a year ago, by now, I know you're expecting some more money. You are not still living off the high of that one. Where's that money now? Okay. I've done it again. They said some questions you need to ask yourself. Why does money make some people happy? Why doesn't money make some people happy? That boils down to about 3 things. Do you have trusted people around you? They said that's one question. Do you have trusted people around you who will help you manage your money? Or do you just have people who are just there to get their fair share of the money? Are you basically a happy person? What's your genetic set point for happiness? Happiness is, having money is not going to push you too far away from that. You'll come back there. Then do you manage money well to start with? They said wealth amplifies things. If you have some good qualities, having more money just amplifies the good qualities. If you have some faults, having more money amplifies the faults, makes it worse. If someone is the kind of person who mismanages money, who doesn't manage money well, the person has simply gotten more money to mismanage, to waste. But if the person is frugal or is sensible about money, the person just has more money to be sensible about. So money basically doesn't change somebody. So why do we change the way we feel about money? Why doesn't money keep us up there? One reason, upward comparison. Upward comparison. You get what? 10,000 naira extra today. You are happy today. Tomorrow you hear about somebody, same level at work. He got a bonus of, what, 15,000? And you got 10. Yesterday you were happy with your 10. Today you start thinking, how come he gets 15, I get 10? I work harder than he does. At that very moment, your happiness with the money starts to fade. This is why Allah advised us against something, envy. He said envy is bad for us. It shaves off our deen. Another reason why also we should try and be conscious when we are comparing ourselves in an upward direction is because Allah is advising, look upon the Prophet ﷺ advised, look upon the one who is below you in status. In this way, you will not look down on the grace of what Allah has bestowed upon you. Because when you compare 15 to 10, 15 is larger. You will start belittling what you do have as against what you don't have. Another reason why money can't keep us happy, can't keep us there, is adaptation. Human beings are naturally very adaptable. We get used to things. We get used to situations or circumstances. So if today you win $10 million in a jackpot, today that's a big deal. It's very different from what you had yesterday. But after a while, you are going to get used to having that much money. It will no longer give you the high it gave you the first time you had it. It's like eating chocolate every day. Chocolate for breakfast, chocolate for lunch. After a while, it's like, I'm tired of this chocolate. Give me nasi lama. It may not be as exotic or as expensive, but I want something different. Money gets spent. That's like, okay, that's obvious, right? But how does this play out in our lives? Allah says whatever is with you will pass away. Money will get spent. It leads us to keep wanting more of it. Because we are spending it, we need more of it. Sometimes you say, I don't know why people keep embezzling money. He's been embezzling money for the past 2-3 years. It's enough, let him stop. Why will he stop? If he stops, will he get more? No. Money gets spent. And there's something very interesting about getting more money. It's called, when you get more money, you get what we call the I can afford it syndrome. I can afford it syndrome. You step up your spending to match your income. Not your needs, but your income. This is Malaysian ringgits. You have, say, every month you get 10,000 Malaysian ringgits. Every month, that's your income. You'll spend it on what you need to spend it on. Your spending will match your income. You may still have some things you need, but you tell yourself, I'm not going to spend that, I don't have it, I can't afford it. Then there are some things you would only dream about, like owning a private jet. You'll just dream about it like, wow, that would be nice if I had that. No more waiting for 2 hours in the airport before my flight. So let's picture someone, let's call him Abdul. That's his income. He's got a motorbike. He would like to have a car, but he can't afford it right now, so he won't think about it now. He'll be happy with his motorbike. He has a nice little apartment, 2 rooms, he's got a wife, and he tells his wife, only 1 child for now, we can't afford any more. And they are happy. Now Abdul gets a raise. Nice, healthy jump in salary. He's boosted up to 25 Malaysian ringgit. Now Abdul says, aha, now I can afford it. So he ups the spending. Out with the bike, in with the car. We'll move to another neighborhood, a gated, guarded neighborhood. And he makes a move. Does Abdul still have needs? Yes. But you know what's interesting? He no longer calls those things that were just wants before wants. Now they are needs. Abdul now has a car. But soon he needs a second car for his wife. He doesn't say, I want it, I need it, it's necessary. Now Abdul dreams of a big jet. But if Abdul were to keep working, doing a little more business here and there, 10 years down the road, he hits his first million, then the second. Soon he's a multimillionaire, a billionaire. Soon Abdul will want a jet. And he will not say, I want. He will say, I need. I have to be in Oman for this conference. I need something to get me there fast. There's this story that's usually told of a boy from a very, very, very wealthy home, father multi-billionaire, sent to one exclusive school in England. So one day he writes his father a letter and he says, Father, I've got a problem. There's something very, very embarrassing. Every day I come to school in my limo and all my friends come with a train. It's embarrassing. The father replies, stop embarrassing the family. I've just wired enough money in your account. Go buy yourself a train. Go buy yourself a train. The man talks this way because of where his income is at. If his income were down there, he would know what his son is trying to say. This is too much. A limo to school is too much. Our spending will always meet up to our income, not our needs. Money will get spent. Therefore, money will not keep us happy. We'll keep wanting more of it. Money keeps us happy because it gives us some control. When a person suffers from depression, one of the problems the person has is the person feels things are out of control. Money gives you a sense of control. I know where my next meal is coming from. I know where I will get my money from for the next 6 months, the next 1 year. It gives you a sense of stability. And it will only make you happy to the level that it can give you more certainty. What do I mean? For most people, as long as they've gone out of what you would call the poverty level, the power of money, of wealth, to make you happy decreases. Because it has met your needs, you start asking yourself, what else is there in life? This takes us back to people who seem to have it all, but they seem unhappy, because they're asking, what else is there? What else is there? This is where we start saying, let us distinguish the journey from the destination. When does money become meaningful? When does it start to have more significance for us? As long as you think of money as an end, the acquisition of material things, of shoes, clothes, cars, as an end in itself, that is how long it will remain something that cannot keep you happy. But if you look at money as a journey, the acquisition of material things as a journey, then you start to look at it as something bigger than yourself. And we'll talk more about that, inshallah. We go back to the question of children. I cannot imagine anybody, especially in a community like this one, who wouldn't want to have children when they get married. People typically, it's like it's the next thing. You get married, then you have children. When you list a person's accomplishments, people almost always say the person works here, has this degree, is married, happily married with children. That always comes in. Because to us, it's a big deal, and it is. When you have a child, you have somebody who is going to love you unconditionally. Someone who is going to take one look at your face and give you a big, toothless smile. And even as they grow up and they become more stubborn, more obnoxious, they start doing I know it all, but you know beneath all that, they still love you. Children assure us, they guarantee us some love in our lives. For many people, they're a retirement package. When you can't work anymore, you grow really old. If you have a child who loves you, really loves you, you are sure you'll be taken care of till you die. So for many people, they're a retirement package. Where I come from, there's a saying that the donkey gave birth to a smaller donkey so that one day its back will rest. The donkey had a baby donkey, so one day its own back will rest. Eventually, a donkey gets so old it can't carry the load anymore. So the little donkey is now grown up, can manage it. So children are like a retirement package. Children give you companionship. They stay with you, they play with you, especially when they are very little. They follow you like a tail. You are walking around the house, you turn around, and there's your little one following you with all his or her toys. I want to be where Baba is. I want to be where Mama is. They give you companionship. And they are great. But have you ever tried to sit in a gathering of parents with 2-year-olds or teenagers and listen to their conversation? Do you hear people say such things about their teenage sons or daughters? I wanted to just kill him. I know I've heard that. I wanted to splatter him on the wall. Do they love their children? Yes. But that's the reality of life. It's not happy, happy, happy all the time. Sometimes they get under your nerves. Sometimes a little 2-year-old is screaming and rolling on the floor and you don't know why. Do you want a biscuit? Wait, you want a toy? Your toy? One day I saw a father going through this in an airport of all places. Child was screaming and screaming, screaming. And people would turn and look at the father. And at one point, the man just stood and was watching the child. I can't imagine what he was thinking at that time. Put him in a bag, pull the thing closed, put him in my suitcase. But he just stopped and he was just watching this child having a go, testing his lung power. I know of a father, loves his son, loves him. But when the son got to the age of about 1.5 years, he nicknamed the boy Little Terrorist. Each time the boy woke up from sleep and the father heard the sound, the father would be like, he's awake. And anytime he came tiptoeing in and the boy is asleep, he said, thank God. But he loved him. They would play together and have a blast. So children are great, but they won't keep you happy all the time. And Allah says it, that people pursue these things, wealth, women, children. If we swing this way, wealth, men, children. But he says they are tests for us. And so if we pin all our happiness on them, there will be a problem. He says to Allah belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth. He gives to whom he wills, female children, and he gives to whom he wills, male children. So if children were the be-all and end-all of life, if they were the source of happiness, would Allah withhold them from some people? The mere fact that he withholds from some, distributes as he wills, tells us, don't pin it all on children. We may say to ourselves, I don't do that, but your actions will speak louder than words. What happens when you can't have a child? What happens when your child is sick? What is going on in your heart? Are you thinking it's over? There are marriages that break up because there's no child. Some marriages can't take the strain. Some people go to all lengths. Some people actually step away from faith because I don't have a child. People who don't want them are having them. I want them. God, I've asked you. I've done sadaqah. You're not giving me. Are you there? So you ask yourself, the obvious thing is, no, I don't pin all my happiness on children. But what do you think about children? How do you feel when it comes to the question of children? Marriages still crash. Parents and their children still have issues. And now we go over to the other one, love. Could be platonic, could be filial, could be parental. But our focus here is on romantic love. Because that's where many of us pin a lot of our hopes. I've had a really rotten life, but inshallah I'm going to marry a fantastic girl, a fantastic man, and it's going to be fine. We have a very simple equation. M equals H, where M is married and H is happy. Very simple. M equals H. If I equal married, then I is happy. Because M and H are the same. Married, happy, the same. How many of us here are married? How many of us here believe in that equation? No. It's not as simple as that. M is not H. Always. There are other values added. If there's anybody here looking for that great day when I get married, life is going to be different. I'm going to be different. I'll be happier. It's not going to happen. You'll be happy on that day, maybe. If you're lucky, you won't have some fight break out among the in-laws. You'll be happy maybe on that day, for a week afterwards, for 2 weeks afterwards. For some people, the fighting starts. The battery, that happiness battery, starts to get run down from day one. Right after all the party. For some people, the battery starts to drain from day one. Some people can stick it out for a year or 2 years. Studies show usually 7 years is the make it or break it point. Sometimes the battery just can't take it anymore. Plug it in all you want to a power outlet, no charge. So M is not happy. Always. Some marriages are happy, some are not. Reality. Now, I'm not trying to scare the unmarried ones away from marriage. As we go on, we'll talk. We said a lot has to do with choice. Let's not forget choice, deliberate actions. So we'll talk about deliberate actions. It's not scary. Children are great. They are wonderful. Sometimes. Marriage is good. Sometimes. The strength of the sometimes depends on what you do, your choices about children, about wealth, about marriage. If you walk into marriage with that kind of high happiness expectation, that your spouse is going to make you happy, is going to fix all your problems, you are elevating your spouse to the position of God. A human being can't make you happy. A human being cannot. If one walks into marriage with that expectation, you put a great strain on your spouse. Your spouse is coming in with his or her own flaws, his or her baggage from whatever life they lived before they met you, with his or her expectations. So he's standing there saying, you will make me happy. You are standing there saying, you will make me happy. Who's going to make who happy then? You make each other happy. You start with making yourself happy. Because marriage is 1 + 1, 2. A set of 2. 1 + 1 is 2. That's complete, right? A complete set. Is that a complete set? So if your battery is 3/4 full, how can you complete it? Or 1/8 full. That's not complete. If you think of marriage like a remote control, every remote control I know has more than one battery. Most I know have 2 on the average. If one battery is bad, that remote will not work. Push all the buttons you want. Recite dua, recite Surah Yasin, do tahajjud. It's not going to work. So if you walk into marriage with the expectation, this person will complete me, you'd better go in there complete. Then you make this person with you, you then make a complete set. We think of marriage as half plus half is 1. No, 1 plus 1, 2, complete set. We create imbalance when we go in with that expectation. We create enslavement. Because if your spouse actually works overtime to make you happy, you will become enslaved to your spouse because you start to believe this is where all my happiness is coming from. Or your spouse will become enslaved to you. She says the wrong thing, your face changes and stays changed for the next 1 day until she apologizes. He doesn't give you what you want. You sulk, you grumble, you make snide remarks until he's compelled to do what you want. That's enslavement. Marriage is not enslavement. And there's a talk on marriage tomorrow, so I won't exhaust it all. The last one, food. Many of us mention food as making us happy. I'm one of them, I'm guilty. Yes, food makes us happy. And there's nothing wrong with it. After all, Allah says in Surah Ar-Rahman, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Is food not one of the favors? Which of his favors will you deny? Don't eat for the next 1 day. Let's see how you'll function. But what we are actually trying to remind ourselves about is comfort eating. Thinking 1 more piece of chocolate will make me happy for life. It will set me up nicely for the rest of the day. 1 more bowl of nasi lemak or tom yam. 1 more. Apart from the fact that indiscriminate eating, I'm not against eating heavily. Indiscriminate eating, eating the wrong thing, sometimes at the wrong time, could make us very ill in the long term. That's when we start to worry about things like diabetes, about things like heart failure, because our diet has been bad. Lifestyle and diet. That in itself leads to sadness. What's happening to your battery level? It's going down. And then the loss of control. The sense that you cannot control what goes into your mouth in itself is a part of what leads to unhappiness. I've seen people crying on some of these shows. I can't help it. I can't help myself. Why are they sad? Why are they crying? Because they really would like to master how they eat. To choose. If you're going to choose to sit down and finish a whole pot of tom yam, you want to make it your choice, not because I can't help myself. So comfort eating is where the problem lies. Not in eating, not in enjoying food. Enjoy food. Just enjoy it to the right extent. Let's not forget genetic set point, demographic factors, choice. Now we want to start talking about choice. Where do we start applying our choice? Deliberate actions, things you say, okay, I'm going to do this. And based on Quran, based on Hadith, based on scientific studies, these things actually do contribute to your happiness. They will recharge your batteries. First, remember that life is a transaction. Life is a transaction between you and Allah. Your time is your life, and your life is your capital. It's the basis of all your transactions with Allah. The means to attaining everlasting felicity, your life, your time. Each of your breaths is a priceless jewel. Every breath you take, in, out, it's priceless because you can't get it back once it's gone. Many people just took a breath. It's gone. It's not coming back. So how do you ensure that as you make your way back to Allah to complete this transaction that is life, that along the way you keep remembering where your true source of happiness is coming from That's enduring happiness. At the same time, you sustain your journey by everyday happiness in a balanced way. Our source of happiness is Allah, everlasting felicity. But you cannot spend your whole life saying, I'm not going to be happy because I'll be happy when I get to paradise. That's not what Allah is asking us to do. He says He desires ease for us, not hardship. Our religion is not a religion of seriousness all the time. I have to spend all my time crying and crying and crying and praying and praying and praying. That's the only way to get there. Once some of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to him. I think it was a particular person who came and lamented that, oh, I have become a hypocrite. And the Prophet asked him, what do you mean? Why? He said, when we sit with you and you talk to us, at that moment our hearts are with Allah. We are serious, we are sober. A short while later, we go about life, we are happy. We are jolly, we just keep on living. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him that's how it's meant to be. Sometimes you are serious, sometimes you are relaxed. That's the point of life. So how do we get the right balance? How do we not forget the source of our happiness, which is at the end of our journey? At the same time, how do we not overstretch ourselves so much that we lose sight of everything? Protect your 40%. In this transaction, Allah has done 60% of the work. He gave you a genetic set point, He put you in certain circumstances, and now the remaining 40 is left to you. If this transaction will be successful, it depends on you. He's done His part. Let's do our part. Happiness is renewable. If your battery level is at red, you can renew it. Take it halfway up. You can boost it to be fully charged. If something happens, it drops again, you are capable of boosting it again, renewing it. It's renewable. So what can I do to recharge my happiness battery? First, seek Allah's face. I love that expression. Seek Allah's face. It's figurative. Literally, it means seek the pleasure of Allah. In all things, let all your endeavors, your actions, be targeted towards seeking Allah's face. Have the source of your happiness in mind in everything you do. Whether it's in brushing your teeth, going to bed at night, walking to school, going to work, sitting down to chat with your mother, sharing a joke with a friend, or sharing a big smile the way you did earlier on just before we started. Always have in mind, it's all about Allah. Let that be the ultimate goal. Seek Allah's face. Because Allah said something in Surah An-Najm, chapter 53. He was actually saying it in the form of a question. Don't we know that even in the earlier scriptures, He had already said, Allah is the one who gives laughter and tears. Don't we know that? That's why we keep saying He's the ultimate source of happiness. He is the one who gives laughter and tears. He gives wealth and satisfaction. I think it's interesting that in Surah An-Najm, He separates the two, wealth and satisfaction. And that's what we talked about earlier. You may have wealth, you may be dissatisfied at the same time. He gives wealth, He gives satisfaction. So always seek His face. You know, when you were in school, or for those who are still in school, your pocket money comes from where? From parents, guardian, whoever is sponsoring your education. And you knew, or you know, you'd better keep that person happy. Or that river is going to dry up. Or be dammed. There will be a dam. You'll have to wait a while to get the money. In the same way, if the enduring source of happiness is Allah, seek His face, make Him happy. The greatest bliss is from Him. I've been told I have 15 minutes more, so forgive me if I suddenly start going very fast, like a Formula 1 driver. Happiness comes from pleasing Allah. Surah Al-Bayyinah, the very end, when He describes those who believe and do good works, He says they are the best of creation. They will be pleased with Allah, He will be pleased with them. رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ. Those are the ones who are conscious, who have that conscious fear of their Lord. Second thing we need to inculcate in ourselves, in our daily actions, a deliberate attitude, is optimism based on faith. Not just empty optimism, faith-based optimism. This hadith talks about if you put your whole trust in Allah, you trust in Him, that everything comes from Him, He will care for you and satisfy your needs. The way He satisfies the needs of the birds. They go out hungry in the morning, they return to their nests full. Let me ask a question. What do we think this hadith is actually trying to say to us? As few words as possible, what do we think this hadith is saying to us? Don't worry. All right, great, don't worry. Is it saying anything else besides don't worry? Read it again. Trust Him, good. Anything else? Work hard. Thank you, work hard. The first time I saw the hadith, I thought only to that extent. Trust Him. Wow, they go out hungry, they come back satisfied. Great. Great hadith, great message. Until I read someone else's take on it, and the person said what is most important about this hadith is not that the birds are hungry, then they get satisfied. It's the fact that they go out. They come out. They do something. So optimism based on faith is the optimism that pushes you to do something. Not the one that says, Inshallah, it will be fine. But you're sitting there and you're saying, Inshallah, it will be fine. Inshallah, he will behave himself the next time he goes out. What have you done about his misbehavior? Inshallah, I will not go hungry today. What are you doing about not going hungry today? Optimism based on faith is the kind of optimism that moves you to do something, to act. Your behavior must always express hope, hope of success, hope of a good outcome. Dua in itself is an act of faith. It's an act of hope. Not the kind of dua that you keep thinking, will he answer, will he not? The Prophet ﷺ said, whatever you pray for, be certain it will be responded to. In another hadith, he says, when you raise your hands to pray, before you drop your hands, just take it, Allah has answered. His answer may not come in the format you want. It may not be MS Word. It may not be JPG. The format may be different. The way he will answer may be different. The timing may be different. He may give you less than what you asked for or more. But have trust. Seek his face. Just have trust this is what you actually need at this time. Faith in Allah recharges your battery. Some of the faith-shaking questions that were discussed earlier, faith-shaking experiences that were discussed, that we go through. What gets us out of it? What gets us out of that deep hole? It's when your faith is ignited. Your belief is strengthened. It recharges your happiness battery. I was going to tell a story here, but because of time, I won't. MC, should I tell them? Okay. I come from a country where your paper qualification is everything. Your expertise is not tested. Your paper qualification is everything. Whether it's forged or not, unfortunately, in some cases. So there was this girl I knew. She finished university. She studied secretarial administration. And one of the key things about being an administrative secretary is the ability to type. Because she would be expected to do a lot of paperwork, a lot of typing, filing. She was good at things like that. But she wasn't good in academic things. Asking her questions, long questions, she would have to write and write and write. She wasn't very strong there. So when she graduated with what you call a mere pass. There's the first class. There's a second class upper, second class lower, third class pass. She was at that level, pass. So when she went somewhere, because we have this 1-year compulsory youth service scheme, you go and work compulsorily wherever they send you. So she got sent with a whole group of people to this government office. And she said when they arrived with their letters of posting, the people in charge were saying, we will only take you if you made a first class or a second class upper. Anything less than that, just turn around, go. She said before she got there, people had told her this is what's going on. They told her, don't bother. They won't take you. Just go back to the posting office and ask them to post you somewhere else. And she said, no, she wants to work there, and off she went. So everybody lined up, dropping their letters of posting and their statement of result. It got to her turn. She dropped her paper. The man looked at the paper, looked at her, said, why are you here? Didn't you hear what we said? This is past. She said, no, excuse me, sir, I can explain. He said, explain what? What are you explaining? He said, just go. And she said, no, wait, I know how to do this thing. He said, no. What's there to talk about? Your paper says it all, you can't do it. So turn around, go away. She said it was an open office, and about 3 other of his colleagues were there, and they started watching this drama. And at one point, optimism came in, and she said, test me. He said, test you. She said, yes. He laughed. He said, she wants me to test her, whether she can actually do it. She said, yes, give me something to type. They then decided to entertain themselves a little bit at her expense. So they said, fine, we'll test you. So I said, test her now. She wants you to test her. Go ahead, test her. And he said, okay. What's your typing speed? She told him. Now, I don't know anything about typing speed, but she said what she told him, that's like one of the best speeds ever. And he said, you, with your pass. She said, test me. He said, okay. Now, he didn't know something, and this is where ego comes in. We'll talk about ego later. What he didn't know is that during her holidays, her sister ran a business center where they do a lot of typing. The business center is close to a university with students with a lot of projects. And in those days, people didn't have personal laptops. So if you had a project to type, you'd go to a business center. Her sister would send her, for her, all the way from their home state, come, I need you. We have a lot of work to do. And so every day, she would sit at the computer and she would type project after project. Is it any wonder that her speed increased? So you go out, and Allah will feed you. So by this time, she started getting a bit comfortable. She had entered her zone. So she sat down. The man went and fetched the draft of a letter. And she said it's one of the worst letters she'd ever seen, with arrows going from here to there and there to here. And it was rough. So she laid it on the table. She said, may I have a ruler, please? He said, you need a ruler to type? She said, yes. I need it to keep knowing what line I'm on. It saves me time. So they gave her a ruler. She sat down. She said she began to type. The man came and leaned over her. She said, you're distracting me. He said, oh, before you say I'm the one who made you fail. He stepped back. She said after a while, she suddenly realized the office was quiet. And all you could hear was the way her fingers were hitting the keyboard really fast. They had already before then counted how many words she would need to cover within a minute if her speed per minute was what she claimed it was. They had marked it. She said she passed that mark just by a few words. That was when the man looked at it. Very few errors. He said, wait, all of those of you that we took, come, 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 we are going to test all of you. Come, come, come. What worked? She had the skill, true, but it was her optimism that pushed it through. So even if you're going to do business, if you have no optimism that this will work, you would hit a roadblock. But the roadblock is really not a roadblock. It's a wall. There's a door somewhere. Optimism is what makes you keep searching that wall until the wall gives way to a door. So that's a story about not giving up. Refuse to be helpless, even in difficult situations. Refuse. We've already said be optimistic. When we say refuse, we mean even when your optimism seems to have hit a rock, refuse to be helpless. Let's take some extreme situations from Sirah. The Prophet ﷺ at one point decided, well, not decided, he was inspired to leave Mecca because by this time his uncle Abu Talib had died. And the Meccan chiefs had had enough of him and had decided we will kill him. He's ruining our business, ruining our customs. His uncle is gone, nobody to protect him, we will kill him. So he fled Mecca at night. with his friend Abu Bakr. Partway through their flight, it became necessary to go hide in a cave so that they would not be caught by the Meccans who were pursuing them. The Prophet ﷺ laid down with his head on the laps of Abu Bakr and he fell asleep. Refused to be helpless. He fell asleep. They were on his tail, he was sleeping. Abu Bakr, meanwhile, observed that their pursuers had come close to the cave. And he did a very logical calculation. They will get to this cave, they will expect us to be here, they will look inside, they will find us, they will kill us. And in the Quran it says he actually felt that way. He despaired, they will get us. And he was so moved by the thought they will find the Prophet, they will kill him, he started to cry. A tear dropped on the face of the Prophet ﷺ. He woke up and he asked what the problem was. And Abu Bakr told him. And the Quran says, the Prophet simply said, La tahzan. Don't despair. Inna Allaha ma'ana. Allah is with us. That's what I call refusing to be helpless. Did he know how Allah would save them? The Quran doesn't tell us. But all he was saying is, Allah is with us, seeking the face of Allah. Don't worry about it. Don't despair. Don't give up. Another extreme example. Musa alayhi salam was instructed by Allah, again, flee at night. Live with the Israelites. Fir'aun is not going to listen. He'll just keep oppressing and killing. Leave. So they fled at night. Now put yourself in their position. Running away at night. You are a small number. These people are a larger number. They are armed. You are not. In your group, you have women, you have children who can't move very fast. There must have been a lot of fear. By morning, Fir'aun had gone and roused everybody up, saying, we'll find them, we'll go after them. There are not many, we'll deal with them. So by dawn, the Quran says the two bodies saw each other. The Israelites saw Fir'aun and his group, Fir'aun and his army saw them. And they said that's when the Israelites said, they will surely overtake us. As they will say in my country, I am finished. It's over. And Musa was inspired to say, Ma'iya Rabbi, my Lord is with me, Sayahdin, he will guide me. Not he has guided me. No, the revelation of what to do hadn't come. But he will. That's optimism. And how did Allah guide him? By telling him, stretch out your rod, split the sea. Allah gives us solutions from where we do not expect. As one little child said when he heard the story, that why did God tell them to divide the sea? Why didn't he maybe bring a boat or something? But Allah does what he wills. He gives us answers in the form that he thinks is best for us. And that's what makes that story so fascinating till today. Had it been a boat, it would have been nice. But the sea splitting, wow, that's something. Then remember this dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-huzni. Hamza Yusuf was trying to explain this dua and he did a fine job. He said ham is sadness. Sadness over something that has happened. It's in the past. Huzni is more like anxiety, despair. Over something you think is going to happen. It's in the future. You can't do anything about the past or the future. But how many times do we get ourselves all emotionally tied up because we are sad about the past or we are worried about the future? Optimism says, stay in the moment. Enjoy it. Be grateful for it. Have hope for the future. Say Alhamdulillah for whatever has gone before. Faith helps to balance the ego. Where you are overconfident, faith is what fills the blank. Saying, don't be overconfident, Allah will fix it, not you. Faith also helps to balance the ego in the sense that when your ego is almost gone and you are full of despair, it says, don't worry about it. Why are you despairing? It's not your business, it's Allah's business. So dua is a way, that's why it says an act of faith. It's a way of taking your worries to Allah, leaving it there, then going on with life. Service. Another way of deliberately ensuring that your life is happy on an everyday basis is service, working beyond yourself, doing things for others. They say I have 5 minutes more, so I'll step it up. The best of people are those who bring the most benefits to the rest of mankind. The best of people. You bring the most benefit, you are the best. Are you useful? Are you useful to people? Those people who find a lot of happiness in their lives always believe they are useful to people, to somebody, even if it's just their family or their community, or they feel whatever I do is worthwhile. There's an intrinsic reward for doing good. As Allah asks us, is there a reward for good other than good? When you do something good for somebody, before the person says thank you, or does you a good turn in return, you will find you're already happy from inside. How many of you have had that experience? You do something good. You walk away feeling, I did something good. I made her smile. I made him happy. There's a reward for good that comes from doing good itself, not from anything else. Smiling at someone makes you feel better. Many of us now are looking a little bit too serious. Is it my face? So let's smile again. Turn to somebody next to you, give the person a big smile. Yes, I just saw someone's teeth flash. That's great. It's charity. Okay, I'll talk about that soon, inshallah, if I can. This was going to be experience with students. We'll skip that. Story of the boy who, after the tsunami, helped reunite a father and son. I'll say it very briefly. Real life story. They got caught in the tsunami. This boy, his mother, his two younger brothers, and his father. He was lucky enough to get swept along with his mother. But his mother got badly injured. She got a deep cut on her chest, a cut on her leg. By the time they found them, took them to the hospital, she had a bad bacterial infection. At one point, she was vomiting what looked like blood. He wasn't sure if she would survive it. But she pushed him away from her bedside and said, look, this hospital is so busy of people trying to save themselves. Go do something. So off the boy went. And on his way, a man said, I'm looking for my son. My son's name is so-and-so. If you find him, please let me know. The boy said, okay. And as he went along, shouting out the name of this boy, other people would stop him and say, I'm looking for my so-and-so, I'm looking for so-and-so. And he would write their names down and kept running around the big building, a complex, looking for these people. Finally, as he entered one room and called out the name of the first boy, a boy answered. And he said, are you so-and-so? The boy said, yes. He said, I saw your father, he's looking for you. Wait, I'll bring him to you, because this boy was too weak to move. He went running, fetched the father, came running back, and as father and son embraced each other, he stood there and he was just smiling at them. It took a while for him to remember his own worries, that his two brothers and his father were probably dead and his mother was probably dying. Doing good for people actually helps you forget for a long enough time to give you a boost, that you have your own troubles. And sometimes it makes your troubles seem so small in comparison. He who seeks the world in a lawful manner. I underline what I think is really important here. First thing, go after the world. Material possessions, status, whatever. Go after it. Go for it. Go for it lawfully. In order to get some independence, to abstain from begging. In order to help others. In order to help your neighbors. Not just your family, but your neighbors. You will meet Allah on the day of resurrection with your face shining like the moon when it is full. That's Allah's own way of saying, do stuff for others, you will be happy. Guaranteed. Nurture your spirit. We'll talk about building a relationship with Allah later. But when the spirit is strong, things don't keep you down. Authentic happiness doesn't mean you will not be sad. You will know sadness, you will taste it. Allah promises us that. But you will not stay down when your spirit is strong. When you do things for others, when you seek Allah's face, you can't stay down. You'll just keep getting, you'll be like this rubber ball on water. It can't sink. Try all you can. It's not going to sink. Hold it down. It will turn you upside down. You will sink. It will float. Nurture your relationship with family, friends, and neighbors, because we are social by nature. There's something called emotional contagion. When you interact with people, you exchange emotions. You don't just see their emotions played out, you exchange emotions. Have you ever walked into a shop to buy something and somebody with a very dull face served you? Yes. And how did you feel after a while? Even if you came in bouncy, later you start finding your spirit starts to droop. And have you ever been in a really bad mood and somebody came and smiled at you and said, "How are you today, brother? How's everything?" And if the person stays around you long enough, you find your spirit starts to lift. Sometimes it's the person who walks past you and smiles at you. Real smile from the heart, your spirit lifts. Science says we exchange emotions. I get yours, you get mine. Depending on who is most active, who is stronger in expressing these emotions, that's the person who rules. This could take us in another direction, but we don't have time. It plays out in marriage. It plays out in interaction between parents and child, between friends. The point we are trying to make here is nurture your relationship. Be aware of emotional contagion, because sometimes your sadness comes not from you, but from the emotion that somebody else has heaped on you. I call it borrowed sadness, borrowed despair. You are so enthusiastic, this idea will work. You sit with somebody who tells you with a long face and a drab voice, it's not going to work. You walk away really thinking it's not going to work. You've borrowed their emotions. It also helps us understand the wisdom behind certain things. When Allah says, don't stay with people who are drinking alcohol, some people say, I'll stay, I'm man enough. I'm sorry, I'm saying man enough, but we find it's the men who usually want to try and prove. I'm man enough, I can take it. They can smoke, I don't care, it's okay. What emotions are they heaping on you while they're doing all of that? It's not so much about the drinking, it's the emotions behind the drinking. He also said, when someone who is ignorant says some things to you, don't respond in like manner. Why? You will take their emotions from them, it will become yours. The person says, who do you think you are talking to me like that? The person's civility level has just dropped. Initially you were here, you are going to be civil, you are going to be Muslim. But after a while you start thinking, why is he talking to me like that? Does he know who I am? Then you say to him, who do you think you are talking to me like that? Somebody walking past will know the difference. You've taken his emotion of arrogance, of rudeness, it's become yours. And also in another verse, Allah says, when you sit with people who are having a vain discourse, what you call useless talk, he says, leave, walk away. If people are doing wrongdoing, walk away. It helps you understand the wisdom behind it. So when you nurture your relationships, be conscious of who is with you. The Prophet ﷺ said, stay with the group. Stay with the group, because emotions are shared. Stay with good people, people who will always have good emotions, positive emotions. But he says it's better to be in bad company than to be, to be alone than to be in bad company. If the company is wrong for you, then stay alone. It's great to have company, but if the cost is the cost of your enduring happiness, walk away. Let's see. Homeless in Calcutta, comfortable in California. A study carried out, surveyed some people in California, comfortable people, materially comfortable. They then surveyed some people in Calcutta, homeless people. They said the happiness level between both groups there wasn't much difference. So they went further. They controlled certain factors. Let's see, why is there not much difference? You would think homeless people are sadder than you, right? The survey says wrong, not necessarily. You see this homeless guy shuffling along. You think, oh, poor fellow. He probably is looking at you thinking, poor fellow, you have to try and manage that car, poor fellow. So they said, why? They controlled certain factors. They said what was different was the people in Calcutta had a stronger sense of community than these people in California. And that made up the difference. It boosted their happiness level till you could not really see much difference. Community is important. Let's not underestimate it. Keeping in touch with people is important. Best company, good Muslims. When we say community, best company, good Muslims. Not just any Muslim, good Muslims. Then people who live principle-based lives, no matter their faith. I found in the university, in my class, a class with a minority Muslim population. We're just about 3 Muslims out of 300. My best friends came from those who lived principle-based lives. Forget about the faith. So, best company, good Muslims, and people who have good principles. Our best example, the first migration to Abyssinia, where the ruler was a Christian king. Rasul chose that place because he said the king is just. It was the principle that counted to him. The king is just. Maintain ties of kinship and relationship with your spouse and children, because the Prophet ﷺ said, the best of you are those who are best to their families. Another version, best to their wives. The best of you is he from whom good is anticipated and safety from his evil is assured. The best of you, people know you will not hurt them. You will always do good to them. So, quick questions. Do you bring laughter, kindness, compassion into your home? Whether as a father, brother, child, sister, mother, do you? Introspective question. It's a question you answer yourself. What do your family members expect from you? What do you think they expect from you? If someone were to take a test right now, can you say with full confidence, they will always expect only the best from me? Can you think of anything that would make your family describe you as the best? Best brother, best sister, best father, best mother? Or have you sometimes heard them say, if only you would be more like so-and-so's father? Sometimes those statements hurt. And you get angry, you tell the person, shut up, go away, don't talk to me. But if you hear a statement like that, put your pain on one side for a moment and ask yourself, why is this person saying that? Is there any merit in what they are saying? If there is, deal with it. If you can objectively say it was an unfair statement, it's not true, then talk to the person about it. But first, think about it. Gratitude, always be grateful. Contentment, I call it happiness in the present moment. It doesn't stop you from working for more or moving forward, but it helps you appreciate what you do have. Not what you hope you will have, or what you wish you had, or what somebody else has. No, you just are happy about what you do have. Where you are in life, in spite of what has happened before, in spite of what may happen in the present, in the future, contentment, happiness in the present moment. Not saying I will be happy when, that's not contentment, that's happiness in the future. And you don't know the future. I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I have a job. I'll be happy when I move to a better neighborhood. Who told you will live to see those things? Be happy now. Contentment helps you persevere. If you're happy, you move forward. If you're happy, your battery is charged, gives you more energy to move forward, to work harder. It gives you emotional strength for the future. Your battery is charged. Your happiness battery is charged. You are content. You say, Alhamdulillah. Then you say, bring it on. I'm charged. I'm ready to go. Career. This is one thing that drains batteries very quickly if your career doesn't make you happy. What's the official time for going to work here? 8 o'clock. Official time for closing, generally? 5. 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. How many hours is that? 4, 5, 9? 9 hours. 9 hours of your day, you're in a particular place that makes you sad. That's a long time to be sad. It drains your battery. 9 hours of sadness, of pure torture. Sunday night, you are sad. Friday morning, you are happy already. Weekend is coming. Find meaningful work. Work is meaningful when it's something you love, you enjoy it, you are not easily distracted from it. You will know when you love your work, when you get your salary and you think, for doing what? This is like a bonus. For doing what? I was having so much fun and I get paid for having fun. Find meaningful work. Now, meaningful work may not always be possible, but find that activity that makes you happy and still do it. Because happiness has what we call a spillover effect. Where is it? Yes, spillover effect. Emotions spill over. So if you get joy from doing this activity, it gives you energy to do all the other unpleasant tasks. So let's go back quickly. Identify how your job fits into the larger scheme of things. You're an accountant. How does that help sustain the society? You're a doctor. It's obvious how that helps sustain the society. But someone works as a person who cleans toilets. How does that help the society? Is it meaningful work? Yes. Have you ever walked into a bathroom to use it and thought, I'll hold it? Yes, so it's meaningful work. Even a toilet cleaner has meaningful work. So ask yourself, this job that I'm doing, that I spend about 9 hours of my day doing, is it meaningful? Does it help make somebody else's life work better? Once you answer that question in the affirmative, then you will start enjoying your job more. Well, the other things I can't talk about because of time, that sense of purpose recharges you. If you have a job you hate, it drains your battery. See, the battery is dead. It's even falling over. It drains your happiness battery if you have a job you hate. It means you're unhappy 9 times 5, 45. 45 solid hours of sadness. That's bad. That's depression. Depression in a suit, and you don't know it. Okay. Independence and dignity. It's tied to having a career, having a job, gives you a sense of dignity. It's my job, it's my money, I worked for it, I can do what I want with it, I don't have to beg for it. Allah commends it, says get a job, make your own money. Some people will say, what about women? They don't have to work. It's not Islamically compulsory for a woman to work. That's true, but a word of advice, don't tell the men I said it. Make sure you open an account, they pay the allowance into your account, you control it. I didn't say it. But the point is, have a sense of control over your financial well-being. The businessman and the matter, can't talk about that. Time is flying, time is flying. This dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-ajzi wal-kasal, seeking Allah's protection from laziness, helplessness. Laziness is when you choose to be helpless. Helpless is when you find yourself in a situation you can't do anything about. But we've said you can refuse to be helpless. And you also seek protection from the suppression of people. And people can suppress you when you don't have money because you have to go ask them for it. Then you have to do what they want you to do, not necessarily what Allah wants you to do. That's suppression. It's oppression. And Allah loves that when you do a job, make it perfect. So don't just do a career because you want the money. Do it well. If you can't do it well, find something you will do with love, with enjoyment. Discipline and exercise, sense of control and balance, a word. Always try and do some form of exercise, physical exercise. Gives you a sense of discipline and control. The timekeeper is coming to run me off the stage. Good manners can be acquired by pretending. That's a great hadith. If we have time, remind me, I'll go back to it. Not a hadith, piece of advice on actually acting out what you want to become. Don't say, I will be optimistic. Be optimistic. Don't say, I will smile more. Just smile. I will be more generous. Be generous. No will in it. No will be. Be generous. Put it into action. Jazakumullahu khairan kathira.